everybody, it's Mario. Welcome back to the channel. How's it going? We're gonna continue, but seriously, with Phil Collins with Colors. Not True Colors, like the Cyndi Lauper song that he covered. We're talking about Colors. And this one, I'm gonna tell you what Phil had to say about it as to what it means according to Google, which I've listened to the lyrics before many a time, so I agree with him. This song is broken up into two parts. But mostly it's saying, is a social commentary on the gap between promises and actions, particularly regarding social injustices. The lyrics express frustration with those in power who claim to claiming to care, but fail to make a tangible difference in marginalized communities. The song uses vivid imagery of suffering and inequality to highlight the need for genuine change rather than empty words. Okay, so short version is, it means like he's talking about social injustice. Like he sees people on the street, people not being able to have food, not being able to have clothes, and all these people in the government or whatever say, "Oh, we're gonna help the homeless. We're gonna help homeless veterans. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do this if you vote for me." And then, you get voted for in the hopes of change, and then the people in power give you one of these. Not y'all. I'm not giving y'all that. I'm just saying that's what the people in power are saying. And Phil is very vivid in his imagery throughout the course of the track. It's about, I would say, about 6 minutes long. But like I said, it's broken up into two parts. There's a softer part, which, we have a softer part in the song, which is beautiful. And then we have the more upbeat part, you can kind of dance to it because it has a bit of a beat to it, but it's not meant to be danced to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sing part one, pause it, discuss part one, into what I think, part one is about, and then sing part two, and then we'll discuss part two. Because it pretty much, that's what this is saying is pretty accurate, but, I also want to give my 2 cents as to what I think the song is truly about. Just my perception of what the song is about. Does that make sense? Alright, guys, let's get into Colors. All rights go to Phil Collins. Yes, I will put the lyrics for this song as well in the description of the track, not the playlist description. Oops. Deep inside the border, children are crying, fighting for food, holding their heads, breaking their bread with a stone. All along the roadsides, people are standing, watching the sun, shielding their eyes, brushing the flies from their face. Tell me, what can you say? Tell me, who do you blame? Like a mirror, you see yourself. These people each have a name. All around the township, Young men are dying, hunger and thirst. The well has run dry. Tears from her eye feeds her sigh. Tell me, why can't you say? Please tell me, who do you blame? Like a mirror, you see yourself. These people each have a name. And that is the end of part one. He's going to do an instrumental that will cross over into part two. And by the way, instrumental, badass. You should know nothing less from Phil Collins. And what he's doing is describing these situations, and it makes me emotional. Just imagining people, have no home, and they're living in a place where they can't shield themselves from the sun. They're sweating. They have flies all over their face, and then he depicts a picture of young men trying to make money for their families, but they're slowly dying because they're hungry, they're thirsty, and no one will give them any food or drink. And then they're worried about what's our family gonna do. And the worst part, well, not the worst, but the hardest part for me is when he talks about the tears from her eye feeds her son. Like a mother is crying, and the only water that, or any nourishment that the baby is getting from the tears of his mother, who is crying, who is devastated from all the pain and sorrow that she's suffering right before our eyes. And Phil is just, putting up a mirror to you, like saying, hey, look, these people look just like you. The only difference is you can do something and they can't. So, Phil is really trying to take part one and paint the picture for whoever is listening, so that way he can explain, hey, you're doing wrong. What you gonna do about it? But I'm sure he's gonna, explain further in part two. Let's listen to the instrumental and then part two. You should watch this instrumental live. It is much better than it is on the CD. Trust me. Now I'm gonna turn my earbuds up. You can say you're pulling back. We see the bitches everywhere. What we don't see is what's going on behind the closed door. You don't seem to care. And you expect me to believe ya? How can you really think? And you can take your horse down to the water, gonna take and make them drink. No matter what you say, it never gets any better. What you do, we never see any change. Them without rights, without their dignity. Well, how long does one man have to shout to earn his right to be free? You can keep the toy soldiers that segregate the black and white. And when the dust settles and the blood stops running, how do you sleep at night? No matter what you say, it never gets any better. Oh, no matter what you do, we never see any change. No matter what you say, it never gets any better. No matter what you do, we never see any change. What makes you so high and mighty? What makes you so qualified? One could sit there and say, how many have had the freedom, but how many more have died? You decide to send judgment. Oh, and try to play God yourself. Oh, but someday soon that thought is gonna strike, stuck with you and no one else. No matter what you say, it never gets any better. You do, we never see any change. Oh, no matter what you say, it never gets any better. No matter what you do, we never see any change. Oh, no, no. Yo, he does a full-blown drum solo at the end of this track. When you watch it on the But Seriously tour or the Serious Hits live tour, please, please go watch it. It is psychotically insane. I love it. I might go watch it when I get down here. Okay, let's talk about part 2 of Colors. Now, I don't. Oh, hey, listen here, you little mother fluffer. No, sit, stay. Okay, let's talk about part 2 of Colors. He's really not just holding up to a mirror, holding up the mirror of look at all these people that are suffering because of your actions. And now he's holding up the mirror to the government, to the people, and it's like, look, these are the people that you trusted to run everything that's going on here. And instead of trying to change it, you're like sitting there watching your government play the blaming game. Like, it's your fault we can't get funding for this. It's your fault that we can't do this. Instead of saying, motherfucker, you're the one who runs shit, it's your fault. instead of playing the blaming game, Phil is trying to say, why can't we figure out a solution to the problem instead of pointing fingers and blaming and doing all this bullshit? And why don't we just change it instead of blaming each other? And like, I'm at, and Phil's I love the part where he's like, you can keep your toy soldiers to segregate the black and white. Because when the blood stops running, how do you sleep at night? Because he's right. Because I can only imagine how much money the government makes by making random wars that make no fucking sense. Imagine if you didn't have any of that shit no more. Imagine how much gravy you'd be making in your pocket, because apparently that's all the government cares about, according to not only Phil, I'm pretty sure you agree with him. I kind of do. And I don't even get into politics. I really don't. I know what you're thinking you should. I don't want to hear all that crap. I know. I can hear the hypocrite comments coming now. What are you talking about? You hate all this, but you have the right to change this, and you're not doing anything about it. True. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Maybe I am being a little hypocritical. But I'm just saying that's what Phil is saying as well. And Phil, people gave him a lot of shit for this album because he was talking about politics and this, that, and the third. And he's saying, well, why don't we do something about it? But the fan base and whoever else was like, why don't you start doing something, Phil? But, over the course of his career, he's given to many charities. Hell, he has his own foundation where he helps kids become artists or artists like painters or musicians or whatever they want to be. What is it called? The Little Dreams Foundation. Look it up. Look it up. And he helps kids, and I don't think that's amazing. Either he could have gave in and done the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but no, he wants to help people, and I applaud Mr. Collins for that. I really do. What do you guys have to say about colors? That's just my 2 cents on the matter. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.